I've had a long history with the Balkans. You could even say I've been pretty fascinated with this region of Earth for a while now. I made a video called The Most Toxic Place on Earth 2 years ago, and that ended up getting 1.6 million views. And ever since then, I've been trying to help explain some of these memes from the Balkans without getting my entire channel completely banned from the internet. In fact, I was even featured in this Meet the Balkans video by Ace Animations, Average Day of the Serb, watching True Durnil videos. But yeah, the Serbians, they had important priorities. Really love the video, by the way, Ace Animations. But today we're talking about Balkan people internet in general. Now, as an American, comparing myself to other people in my country, I'm practically an expert at this, but I don't think even I know just how deep this rabbit hole actually goes. This is by Ghost Gum, Balkan people
cry,
internet.
Others get angry, and some just give up.
But not the Balkans.
If you're from the Balkans. You may think you know the internet, but trust me, you don't know anything about Balkan people internet.
Yes. I mean, a lot of my channel's success comes from this very thing. It was just me diving into this horrific part of the internet that so many people didn't know about.
One of the funniest and most interesting corners of the web
Absolutely.
is Balkan people internet. That, in internet years, spans Balkan history, which is so in-depth that you probably couldn't cover it all in one video.
Absolutely not. You know what's crazy? I just wanted to briefly give my history here with the Balkans. When I first started doing YouTube, I was just uploading unedited gameplay content, and every once in a while, there would just be this insane argument that would break out in my comment section with just Balkan people fighting. I knew then just never to talk about this region. In fact, I even joked about it in some of these videos. I would just outwardly say, I'm not mentioning anything about the Balkans. I'm too afraid. Now we don't care anymore, but
you should know is that
I love this guy is clearly American like me as well,
history,
or
communism
not
and
from
fascism,
the Balkans.
religious wars, ethnic wars, world wars,
Yes.
and most recently, internet wars.
Yes.
If you didn't know, it's this region in Europe, made up of the following nations, and these nations don't particularly like each other. Here's a safe rule when wondering which nation is friends with which in the Balkans. If the two countries share a border, they don't like each other.
Yeah, it's pretty clear actually. That aspect, crystal clear.
If they don't share a border, there's a 70% chance they don't like each other.
Yeah.
One of the defining characteristics
There's a couple of nations that are kind of friendly if they don't border each other, like Croatia and Albania occasionally, or Montenegro and Macedonia. Kind of the only two examples I can think of. Well, this says Macedonians believe that Serbia is their best friend because Bulgaria. Honestly, I don't think I can trust. Never mind. They're not friends. There's no friends there in the Balkans. The least nationalistic Turk, man.
But I don't want you to interpret this as a nationalist in the West.
It's not the same at all.
That kind of crap, sir.
In the Balkans, nationalism is the norm. Due to the many hardships endured by these people,
the Ottoman
oftentimes
Empire,
inflicted by neighboring countries. When I say hardships, I'm not
the Greeks
talking
before that, the Romans before that.
I'm talking wars, annexations, and genocides.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to come up. I mean, we're not talking about just wars. They were that. In fact, some of the most horrific things you can read about in history came from this single region. Thanks for that, Vlad the Impaler.
To show you what I mean, here are some examples.
Gay Greece, home of sexuality.
Yes,
Long
that's
live the
typically where
Ottoman
they go with
Empire.
Greece.
Bulgarians above all. Bulgarians rulers of the world. Bulgarians were invincible warriors. Bulgarians creators of almost all civilizations.
Yes.
Now, you might see these as bad or hilarious, depending on who you are. But remember, nationalism is the norm for people who grew up here. So they took to the internet to share their disdain.
It is very normal, and it's so funny because obviously so many of the major websites in the West are run from, like, you know, whatever, the US or Britain. So they just don't understand this region. A lot of Western people cannot wrap their brain around seeing the world through Balkan lenses. I think a lot of Americans have their head literally explode when they stumble upon this part of the internet. They cannot fathom. It's kind of
each other, posting some of the most ridiculous and unintentionally hilarious comments
yes,
of all time.
That I love the unintentionally hilarious stuff. This is happening. Like, comments like these are literally happening on a daily basis.
But if you know anything about internet
awful person,
irony, you know
ironic awful person, not sure if you're awful now.
These
all right, stay away.
were so ridiculous that people started creating archives of them in places like r/Balkan People Internet,
yes,
which would go on to be banned for promoting nationalism.
Yep,
which
this
is the opposite of what it was supposed to do. It was making
This is
fun
what
of
I'm saying. That is exactly what I was trying to say 2 seconds ago. So many Balkan corners of the internet just get banned because people don't, like, you know, people just don't understand their irony anymore. It's sad.
Nationalism. But this will be a theme going forward.
Yes, it's
the
literally.
irony would be pushed
but
so
I love
far
that you can't stop it. I'm gonna let the video play. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, but they can't stop it. Like, this is a fundamental aspect of this region of Earth, they'll just find another spot to continue this. Always.
People would start parodying their own cultures, not just other cultures, which ended up creating one of the greatest and most influential subreddits of all time.
Here it is.
Not just for Reddit, but for internet culture. They created r/2Balkan4you. The whole point of this community was Balkan people coming together to make fun of each other by parodying their own nationalism, which in turn spawned some of the most iconic internet memes of this generation.
It's crazy. I mean, I feel like I was on ground zero for a lot of this. I'm very blessed. I got to see this happen in real time. I tried to document it here on my channel.
Blank in blank meme was widely popularized due to its use on 2Balkan4you. It also included parodying the stereotypes that were used by many Balkan internet posters. Now, you as an outsider might look at this and say, hey, these people are making fun of each other based on things that I'm not comfortable with, therefore it's not okay. But I present a counter argument. Balkan culture is nothing like your culture. First of all,
oh my gosh, I love this video. Hold on, I gotta see that car again.
Counter argument. Balkan culture is nothing like
New
your
vehicle
culture.
just dropped.
First of all, it's normal in Balkan culture to make fun of people and to not take that personally. Second of all, remember all of these countries raised people to be extremely proud of their heritage and their roots, because historically there is a very good chance they've been wronged by their neighbors at some point in the past, due to the sheer volume of history in the Balkans.
Please understand their history first, which a lot of people do not. It's a wild ride.
As a result of this, a lot of people would just avoid talking to anyone from a neighboring country due to the stereotypes they were raised on. 2Balkan4you flipped this narrative completely on its head by uniting people from the Balkans with one thing they all had in common: nationalism.
And it's funny because oftentimes you'll see comparisons. There are other regions of Earth outside of the Balkans. Obviously, the Balkans are the most famous for this behavior. There's Balkan Asia in the southeast of this continent, Balkan Central Asia, but Latin America seems to be the place that draws the most comparisons. Me being from California, this was actually the first region I saw make fun of each other, but not take them personally. Like, it's just jokes.
It's this nationalism for their countries that they were able to bond over. Many users of 2Balkan4you argue that they would have never had perspectives on their neighbors and their upbringings had it not been for the subreddit. When in reality,
admins of Reddit
they had a lot more in common than they originally thought. I guess you could say it was ironic, realizing they hated each other was the reason they came together.
That's what drew them together.
But either way, they came together. One of the heads of 2Balkan4you has explicitly stated that if it weren't for the subreddit, he, as a Greek person, would have never met his Macedonian or Turkish friends.
Oh yeah, there's a community that was literally formed.
Tons of Balkan people would still hold the same perspective of their neighbors. They were also able to turn up the irony and laugh at the people who took their nationalism seriously.
Exactly.
So in a bizarre...
It probably single-handedly stopped a lot of wars from breaking out in the last 10 years. We really should be thanking this community.
Roundabout...
New player build lawnmowers. Okay.
Layered way, they cooled the tensions in historically one of the most tense regions on the entire planet. It's like cranking up the AC and the heat at the same time to achieve an average temperature, and it worked. Now you see, this perspective is a bit nuanced and hard to understand if you don't have a background in the Balkans.
Yes.
Although you could just talk to a Balkan person about that to get the perspective, but hey, it might take...
You can get an aspect of the Balkan, but you need like millions of perspective from Balkan people, because they're all going to have just like a very different perspective, but they're similar still in a way.
Take a second to realize that even if I don't like this, these people are okay with making fun of each other and being made fun of. Reddit admins do not think like this. You see their...
Here we go. And what's funny is their actions just prove that they truly do not understand this region. They didn't study the history. They didn't take the time to truly understand the culture that is from here. They just saw it from their own worldview and just... Yeah.
There's one type of person that no matter what, people on 2Balkan4you unironically hated. People from the West. And nobody embodies the stereotypical, terminally online, babied Western person than the average Redditor. A couple of people came after 2Balkan4you, most notably the users of AHS, but it was nothing more than people just complaining, failing to understand the point of the subreddit, which wasn't to be mean or hurtful, but make fun of that. It was just a small group of Redditors though, so who really cares?
Yeah.
2Balkan4you did take some steps in changing the subreddit to be more advertiser friendly in order to not get it banned. such as changing some user flares and making sure no unironic stuff got through. But this wouldn't stop them from the attack that was about.
Again, like I said, there's just a lot of people that cannot wrap their head around the irony, which is depressing.
Not from the Reddit mods, but the Reddit admins, in particular one notoriously awful admin. Now, as previously discussed in another video, admins and mods are very different people. To understand this simply, admins are paid employees of Reddit, whereas mods are basically slaves. Mods are the ones who get individuals banned, admins are the ones who get entire subs banned. Now, in doing research for this video, I got in touch with the head admin of 2Balkan4U, who had direct interactions with a certain Reddit admin. The messages between them perfectly paint the picture of why 2Balkan4U was banned. So this admin, Chitor, I think that's how you pronounce it, is the one we're going to be talking about. You might know her because she got caught abusing her powers on r/place to erase stuff she didn't like, essentially defeating the whole purpose of place. Chitor had taken some issue with 2Balkan4U, citing that the user flares were in direct violation of Reddit Rule 1. Here are the user flares on screen that they used to make fun of each other. You can be the judge for yourself. Whether you agree these violate the rules or not, the mods had to agree to the conditions. The mods simply wanted an explanation on why they had their user flares removed, as Chitor had just removed them without giving them any warning or any heads up. They explained the point of these user flares was to make fun of people who were using them seriously in the real world. They also argued that they're criticizing themselves, not others. Therefore, it's okay because everyone here is in on it. Either way, the mods said they'd be willing to change the flares if they got them back, giving Chitor what they wanted if they would just leave 2Balkan4U alone. Now, if you look at the messages, it's clear Chitor didn't even look at the response and just doubled down, saying that their word was final.
It's
and they wouldn't be getting their flares back no matter what, because I don't know, man. But Chitor, being the hero she was, wouldn't stop there. They mentioned 2Balkan4U was promoting hate and gave examples. The mods claimed that these posts weren't even promoting hate, and they also said they were trying to keep the subreddit as clean as possible, but felt they were being unfairly treated and given too short of a leash. They also pointed out that nobody on the sub was getting offended, who, keep in mind, were the butt end of these jokes, but it was a Western person coming into another culture telling them what was okay and what wasn't.
Yeah.
And they pointed out that the posts
Can you blame them for being upset at us Westoids? This is why we are annoying.
We're against hatred. The whole point of them was to make fun of nationalists in the region by parodying them to a ridiculous extent. They also claimed that a Reddit admin should be helping them to make sure their community is within guidelines, not going on a power trip and harassing them because they don't understand it. They even asked for contact with another admin who didn't have the comedic understanding of a 4-year-old, but instead, Chitor made it so every post on 2Balkan4U had to be filtered by the mods. Keep in mind, it had over 100,000 users.
Yeah, it was huge.
Basically creating a spam subreddit where no posts could be made and it was run into the ground. All of this eventually culminated in the deletion and ending.
And it's funny because, I mean, you could feel it was going to happen eventually. There was like moments where it's like, oh, it's going to happen. Oh, it's going to happen. Oh, and then it of course finally did.
A sad day in internet history, but the Balkan philosophy stayed the same until the very end. We own the subreddit, but we don't own the community. The community owns itself.
That's the thing.
And that was the end of Balkan People Internet for good. Just kidding.
Yeah, I was going to say.
These people have survived the strongest empires in history.
That's the thing. You can't stop it. You cannot stop it.
You think some Reddit admin could kill them? Here is Balkan's eye.
You can stop the man, but you can't stop the idea. Like I started off in this video, like the energy can be seen in my old videos from like 11 years ago in the comments section somewhere. Like this spirit will continue to live on. And what's amazing is, you know what? This community has helped other regions of the world be able to make fun of themselves too, to not take themselves so seriously, to be able to laugh at yourself. I mean, look at me. I was born in the state of Alabama and now I live in California. There's so much material right here. And I'll be the first one to make the incest jokes because they're true. Kind of of ironic how Western Reddit mods banned a culture they don't understand for racism. I love how Turks and Greeks insult each other like they're from different realities, but they're just apartments away from each other somewhere in Berlin. Very beautiful video, Ghost Gum. Big thanks to my patrons this month. I tried to kidnap Drew again, but he put me in his basement. Help. Drew's Argentinian Grandpa. I can't sleep without Drew's voice. Nord, Tyler, Archaeology, aPhatNarwhal,
Carmel,
Sarsath,
Pavlik,
DaBeautiful-MEGAN-Underwood,
Fredrik
Tibblin,
JohnDenver,
KingBearHaze,
KingBearHaze,
Mgmluthegoat, the sebby. If you hear this, I